There has to be some kind of devil magic going on in Indiana because what the hell is going on? First, they had a crazy finals run with Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, and then now they have Daniel Jones playing like a top five QB. And yes, I said top five. Daniel Jones has completely turned the outlook of his career around on the Colts. At the beginning of the season, most people didn't even think he was going to start. Everybody thought Anthony Richardson was going to start the season, and Daniel Jones was just going to be another backup who's going to be a career nobody for the rest of his life. And then we got the report that he was starting. And then he plays pretty good week one. And then he plays pretty good week two. And then now the Colts are 3-0 with Daniel Jones playing elite QB play. And what happened? What happened? What happened to the Daniel Jones we know that's going to throw a bunch of interceptions and look really funny and stumble on the 1 yard line? A lot's happened actually, and I want to use some pretty interesting stats that I see from Daniel Jones to contextualize what is actually going on. I spent way too long creating a graph of all stats that I think are really key to his development, and I kind of want to look at them right now. So first, I want to look at this graph I have of these stats right here. So first, we have rate percentage, which is just a stat that contextualizes all of his stats together, or QB stats all together to do quarterback rating. I got that through the years. We're going back to his first year as a starter in 2019. Aggressiveness percentage, and if you've watched this channel much, you know I'm a big fan of aggressiveness percentage. I think that's a great litmus test with other stats involved. I don't think it's the end all be all, but in this case, it's going to be super helpful with this graph. Completed air yards, which is basically how far he attempts to pass or how far he completes passes. So on average, looking at 2025, he completes 6.8 yards per pass. Intended air yards, these are the total yards of everything he's tried, including misses, including hits on deep balls, including air balls on deep balls, including everything. Plus minus is a stat that contextualizes how good a player plays in a game and puts it throughout the season. So each game you get a plus minus, and you just a positive plus minus is a good thing. A negative plus minus is a bad thing. Completion percentage, obviously, completion percentage is how many passes they complete. X comp percentage, that is expected completion percentage. That is a stat that says you are expected to have a 64.2% pass or completion percentage according to 2025. They are saying he should be at a 64.2% completion percentage, and he shouldn't be lower than that. If he's higher than that, good. If he's lower than that, bad. And then air yards per attempt, it's how far he's throwing the ball per attempt. Not how many yards he gets, but how far. So for 2025, he throws the ball 5.5 yards every time. So that means he's getting about 1.3 yards of yak each time. Okay. I hope that was quick. So now we're going into the meat of it. I want to look at the stats from the previous season to see what has changed. And obviously, the first thing that jumps out to you is the passer rating. First time he's ever broken 100. You can see he was close in 2022 with a 92.5, and you can see that he was above his expected completion percentage, which he's always around his expected completion percentage besides this year, which makes me think it's not his receivers doing the heavy lifting, it's him being able to make plays, being able to be aggressive. You see that aggressiveness percentage, 20.5. It's the first time since his rookie year he's ever broken 20. And you can see he kind of drops in aggressiveness by year, which makes sense for veterans and people that are getting into the league. The more seasons you play, your aggressiveness will go down. And one thing I have to say about aggressiveness percentage is it can be good, it can be bad, depending on the stats that you use to help back you up. For example, Josh Allen right now is the lowest in aggressiveness percentage, and obviously Josh Allen is good. And then Lamar Jackson is really high in aggressiveness percentage every year. And obviously, Lamar Jackson is really good. So it just matters about how the QB plays with other stats. And using his other stats, you can see he's not only aggressive when it comes to throwing in tight windows, he's also aggressive when it comes to air yards. He is, again, breaking 8 for the first time since his rookie year of intended air yards. And this is the first time he's broken 6 since 2020 on completed air yards. So not only is he being more aggressive, he's throwing downfield more since his Giant days. And I mean, he was always throwing a lot of interceptions. So that's why a low aggressiveness percentage with a high interception rate is not good because you're not aggressive and you're still throwing interceptions. That means you're playing passive and still not throwing good balls. But with that, I want to throw over to this. I want to go over to this next graph that I have of blitz, poor passes, sack, and pocket percent or pocket time. Sorry. I used a per game metric. I had to do the math myself, not to toot my own horn, but you can see the blitz per game is a lot this season. He's at 13.7. First time he's broken 10 since 2021. Sorry, it took me a little bit to see that. And I think the reason for the blitzes this season is with Daniel Jones, you want him to make a play, you want him to make a read. If you blitz him hard, he can't always just go to his first read because if you cover it, then he's going to have to find a dump off. He's going to have to find someone open in that blitz. And he's been doing really good at that. As you saw, his completion percentage is really high at a 71.6. And he's not throwing many poor passes. Granted, he always throws around 3 to 4. He was at 6 early in his career, but that's to be expected for young QBs. You're going to throw poor passes. You're going to get adjusted to the league. You see in 2022, he was at 3.4. He had a great season when it came to poor passes. All of these stats came from Fantasy Pros, and poor passes is a metric that takes into account all passes that aren't throwaways. Because a throwaway is obviously a bad ball. If he's intended to throw to a receiver and he either overthrows, underthrows, that is a poor ball. If the receiver drops it, that is not a poor ball. It is a completely, what's the word I'm looking for? It is a completely human made stat. It is not a generated stat. Not only that, you see his sacks. Highest blitz per game since 2021. First time he's broken 10 since 2021. And it is his lowest sacks per game. He has 2 sacks in 3 games. This is his first time ever being under 2. This is his first time ever being under 1. He never was under 2 in sacks per game. And you can see in 2023 when he got injured, not only was he not getting blitzed often at 7.8, he was taking sacks a lot. And his pocket drops by zero point 0.1 seconds. Now, what is the future of Daniel Jones according to what I've seen? I think he's going to continue to do what he's been doing. I think he's going to continue to be great. I think he's going to continue to be dominating. Sorry, it took me a little bit to think of a word there, but he is going to be dominating. And going from a Giants team that is starving for a good QB, you had Eli Manning, you won 2 Super Bowls with him. You want the next Eli Manning. He sat behind Eli Manning, so he's going to be Eli Manning, right? No. Sometimes it takes a QB a little bit to develop. Sometimes it takes them time to understand how to read a defense, how to avoid blitzes, how to avoid sacks. And Daniel Jones is a good proprietor of that. Not only is he getting blitzed often, he's completing passes deep. It's not like he's doing dump offs. It's not like he's just getting yak plays all the time. He's making plays downfield while being blitzed. Has Alec Pierce, who's a good deep threat. He has Michael Pittman, who's a tall receiver that you can just throw it up to. Another thing you have to think about with these blitzes is a player like Jonathan Taylor. They're going to blitz a lot more to stop Jonathan Taylor. He has these play action passes where the Colts O line is able to stop these blitzes. They had a 2.4 second pocket time, and with this many blitzes, they're still able to stop all of these blitzes from getting Daniel Jones, as you saw the zero point 0.6 sacks per game, 2 sacks in 3 games. And Jonathan Taylor being stopped like this has allowed Daniel Jones to be able to air the ball out more than people would have expected. He is playing with the cards he's given, and he's playing well. Now, I think Daniel Jones is going to be around the 3,800 passer yards. I think he's going to be around 32 to 35 touchdowns. I think he's going to have 7 to 8 interceptions. And I truly think he's going to continue to be great. As the season progresses, though, I want you to watch these games and I want you to see how they're going to blitz less. They're going to go into zones where they're going to want him to make reads, and they're not going to try and stress him out because he's able to make these reads now. So watch out for the Colts, man. I mean, they're going to win the South. I don't think the Texans are going to win it at this point. Jaguars are kind of in limbo, and who knows what's going to happen to the Titans and Cam Ward. But keep an eye out for Daniel Jones because I really think there's something special happening in Indiana. And I don't think it's devil magic. I just think it's good football. And I think it's just a QB who's going to be here for a couple years. All right. Thank you for listening.